Did you know? By May 2024, more than 120 million people were forcibly displaced worldwide as a result of persecution, conflict, violence, or human rights violations. This includes 43.4 million refugees, 63.3 million internally displaced people. A common misconception is that refugees are flooding from Africa and Asia into Europe and North America. In most cases, they seek refuge in the closest neighboring country. In most cases, people affected by the world's largest refugee crises aren't able to make it to high-income countries in Europe or North America. Instead, they take shelter in neighboring countries, though the escalation of the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine in 2022 has changed things up a bit in terms of the 10 countries that take in the most refugees. So in today's video, we are going to show you top 10 countries that received most refugees in 2024. But before starting the video, I want to request you, we put our best efforts to create our every single video. So please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start. Number 10, Uganda. Uganda is famous as the Pearl of Africa and hospitable to visitors. Uganda's culture also attracts tourists, with over 50 tribes flourish in land and being a home of the Africa Big Five, such as the lions, leopards, rhino, buffaloes, and elephants, and of all it boasts with the unique tree-climbing lions. As of 2024, it had a population of around 49 million, of which 8.5 million live in the capital and largest city, Kampala. Uganda has received almost 1.9 million refugees over the last 10 years and is one of the largest recipients of refugees in the world. In recent years, Uganda has provided protection to many refugees from DR Congo and South Sudan, as well as people from Burundi, Somalia, Rwanda, and several other countries. Uganda is a pioneer in integrating refugees and giving them full rights. Number 9, Czech Republic. Until war broke out in Ukraine, there had been very few refugees in the Czech Republic. Indeed, the country had been one of the most reluctant in Europe to accept refugees from the Middle East and Africa. The opposition to accepting Muslim refugees was particularly strong. This contrasts sharply with the hospitality that has since been shown to refugees from Ukraine. Unlike Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia, the Czech Republic does not share a border with Ukraine. Nevertheless, it has accepted more refugees per capita than any of these countries. Only Montenegro has received more relative to its population. At the same time, opposition to Muslim refugees coming to the Czech Republic is intensifying. In 2022, border controls were introduced to prevent Syrian refugees from entering from Slovakia. Together with Hungary and Poland, the Czech Republic has refused to participate in the EU's scheme for the relocation of refugees from Greece and Italy. The European Commission is now threatening the three countries with punitive measures if they do not change their position. Number 8, Turkey. Turkey's historical legacy is woven into its architecture and landmarks. Istanbul's Hagia Sophia, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, stands as a testament to the country's Byzantine and Ottoman influences. The grandeur of the Blue Mosque and the ancient city of Ephesus further exemplify Turkey's architectural splendor. In 2023, population for Turkey was 85.4 million persons. Turkey has received more refugees than any other country since 2013, as many as 4 million. Turkey is a large and populous country and is better equipped to handle the challenge than, for example, Lebanon. Nevertheless, it is challenging to provide protection to such a large number of people within a short space of time. Turkey signed an agreement with the EU in 2016 that prevents refugees from moving on to Europe. This has had serious consequences for both the refugees who have made it to Greece and those who remain in Turkey. 4.6% of Turkey's total population are refugees. Number 7, Colombia. 4.8% of Colombia total population are refugees. With its vast rainforests, sprawling savannas, huge mountains, and 1,800 miles of coastline on 2 oceans, Colombia is one of the most biologically diverse countries on Earth. And how can you forget Pablo Escobar? Between 2018 and 2022, some 2.5 million Venezuelans fled to neighboring Colombia. Only a minority have received formal refugee status, but the UN Refugee Agency emphasizes that displaced Venezuelans need protection and supports the authorities in Colombia which have granted Venezuelans a 10-year temporary residence permit. The humanitarian conditions for refugees in Colombia are still difficult, in a country that itself has more than 5 million internally displaced people. Colombia has experienced prolonged conflict, despite the peace initiatives of recent years. The level of violence within the country is high, and this also affects vulnerable people on the move. Number 6. Pakistan. Pakistan, officially the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, is a country in South Asia. It is the fifth most populous country, with a population of over 241.5 million, having the second largest Muslim population as of 2023. Pakistan is home to the second highest mountain K2, third highest Tirik Mir, and the three highest mountain ranges in the world. The world's largest deep-sea port, Gwadar, is in Pakistan. According to the UNHCR, Pakistan is now home to around 3.1 million Afghans. Data shows 1.35 million are registered or POR cardholders. More than 800,000 have Afghan citizenship cards, while the remaining are unregistered. In the second phase, Pakistan plans to repatriate Afghan citizenship cardholders. At a recent news briefing, the spokesperson for Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs clarified the second phase of the expulsion program had not yet begun. Afghan Taliban, as well as international and Pakistani human rights activists, have condemned Islamabad's plan to send Afghans back. Number 5. Jordan. More than 8.5% of Jordan's total population are refugees. Jordan has received almost 1 million refugees in the last 10 years. The vast majority were fleeing neighboring Syria. While a small number have since decided to return to Syria or have been able to resettle in other countries, there are still some 660,000 Syrian refugees registered as living in Jordan today. Over 80% of Syrian refugees in Jordan live in urban centers where they face the challenge of finding sustainable work and affordable housing. Competition for limited employment opportunities can lead to tensions with the local population. The remaining 20% of Syrian refugees live in one of the 2 refugee camps established by the Jordanian authorities and managed by the UN Refugee Agency. Jordan also houses 2.4 million Palestinian refugees. These are people who fled or were expelled from their country during the 1947-49 Palestine War and the Six-Day War in 1967. Number 4. Germany. Germany is famous for its automotive industry, historic landmarks like the Berlin Wall, cultural festivals such as Oktoberfest, and its rich musical heritage with composers like Beethoven. The country is also renowned for its delicious cuisine, including sausages, pretzels, and a variety of beers. A good 84.4 million people were living in Germany at the end of 2022, according to the Federal Statistical Office. Germany's support for refugees is unwavering and multifaceted. Germany has become the 4th largest refugee hosting country in the world and the largest in the EU, with 2.5 million refugees from all over the world, including more than 1 million refugees from Ukraine. In addition to these high numbers of spontaneously arriving people in need of international protection, Germany is also engaging in resettlement and has become a leading partner for UNHCR in this area. Where do most refugees in Germany come from in 2024? As of 2024, most of those applying for asylum in Germany were from Syria, Afghanistan, and Turkey. Number 3. Iran. Iran has a long history of scholarship that has created a rich culture of art, literature, poetry, music, cuisine, and architecture. Ancient Iranian thinkers wrote influential texts on philosophy and medicine, and it was an Iranian mathematician who invented algebra. The country has long been of interest to global powers because of its strategic location within the Middle East and its abundant supply of oil and other natural resources. The modern state of Iran was founded in 1925. In 2021, the total population of Iran amounted to approximately 84.84 million inhabitants. The Islamic Republic of Iran is host to the largest refugee population in the world, hosting 3.4 million refugees and people in refugee-like situation. Iran hosts one of the largest refugee populations in the world, the majority of whom come from Afghanistan. Around 780,000 registered Afghan refugees and another 2.6 million who are either undocumented or have received a headcount laissez-passer live in Iran. 96% of Afghan refugees live in urban areas, while the other 4% live in approximately 20 refugee settlements across the country. Among all Afghans in Iran, 1 million arrived in the country after the Taliban takeover in August 2021. Number 2. Aruba. 16% of Aruba total population are refugees. Aruba is a former Dutch colony in the Caribbean, off the coast of Venezuela. The country has a population of just over 100,000. As a result of the crisis in neighboring Venezuela, some 17,000 people have sought refuge in the small island state. Many more have attempted to reach Aruba but have been turned back. Aruba still has close ties to the Netherlands, which also controls foreign and security policy. The people of Aruba have the right to obtain a Dutch passport, and the authorities in both Aruba and the Netherlands are afraid that this will attract a large number of refugees and migrants if they do not pursue a strict asylum policy. Due to the fear of being deported, as well as the fact that registered asylum seekers in Aruba are not allowed to work, most refugees and migrants live in hiding from the authorities and make a living in the informal part of the economy. As a result, it is difficult to know exactly how many have fled to the island. The figure of 17,000 is the UN Refugee Agency's best estimate. Number 1. Lebanon. The shockingly, 22% of Lebanon total population are refugees. Lebanon, with a population of 6.8 million, has taken in an estimated 1.2 million Syrian refugees over the past 10 years. The exact number is uncertain, because the national authorities demanded that the UN Refugee Agency stop the registration of new refugees in 2015. The authorities themselves claim that 1.5 million Syrian refugees are living in the country. However, due to the challenging living conditions in Lebanon, some refugees have tried to take the difficult and dangerous journey onto Europe. Lebanon suffers from a lack of international will to share responsibility and is in a precarious economic situation. The country itself was ravaged by a civil war that lasted from 1975 until 1990. It is a densely populated country with a fragile political balance between different ethnic and religious groups. Since 2019, the situation has gone from bad to worse, with large-scale popular protests eventually leading to the prime minister's resignation. Then, in 2020, Beirut was shaken by a huge explosion, which killed more than 200 people, injured more than 6,000 and left over 300,000 homeless. Unemployment is sky-high. The country's currency has collapsed, reaching a historic low in May 2022, meaning much of the population is no longer able to afford the necessities of survival. On top of all this came the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by a rapid rise in food and energy prices as a result of the war in Ukraine. Even before the latest increases, more than 50% of the population live below the poverty line. For Syrian refugees, the figure is even higher, with 83% living in extreme poverty. Lebanon urgently needs the rest of the world to step up and help the country that has taken the greatest responsibility for helping displaced people.